Well, welcome everybody. This is our seventh, maybe, Four Corners Economic Development Quarterly Breakfast. And we've had a lot of different programs over the last couple of years, and we thought it'd be great to have our local municipalities, the county, tell us about all the fun economic development projects they have going and initiatives. And then we'll have, if you know this group, there'll be several ad lib comments that may be relevant or may not be, but you can expect that. I want to start by thanking Mr. Greg Allen, who videos all of these for us. And you can always click on our website and find, it takes about a week or two to get them on the website, but if you want to watch it again, or if you know somebody that would like to see the video, that would be on our website within a couple of weeks. So Greg, thank you for your good work with our videos. And then also importantly, Nancy Shepard, who's back there, of course, taking care of business, and Melanie Lewis, Nancy, hi. They put this thing on and go A to Z. So thank you guys for doing that. All right, couple other introductions. From our friends from Albuquerque and Santa Fe, the New Mexico Economic Development Department, Miss Lorraine Ruggles, and then Keegan McKenzie Chavez. So if you guys will raise your hands, thank you for coming this morning. Normally I like to say, hold your applause until we introduce everybody, but these people are such celebrities, we got to clap after every introduction. I talked to our chair, Jeremiah Hayes, who's at the end of the table, about recognizing some of our dignitaries that are in the room this morning. And he said, that's not a good idea because you're going to miss somebody. So if I did, Jeremiah was right. And if I don't, then he was wrong. So let me just mention a few folks. County Commissioners, Ms. Terry Fortner, Steve Lanier, and Glogene Tototina. This is one of those parenthetical comments. Steve Lanier is running for state senate to take Steve Neville's place. I got that right. And he's looking for folks to sign his petition. And you can do it electronically. I did it the other day. It took 7 seconds. Simple signing. So, Steve, get everybody's email and send them a link. All right. Farmington City Commissioners, Janice Giacchino and Janine Bingham Kelly. You guys raise your hand. Thank you for being here. Our mayor from Bloomfield, Cynthia Tencio. Raise your hand. Thank you. She, because she's mayor, she gave the heavy lifting to George Duncan this morning. She has the right to do that. And then our Aztec City Commissioner, Jim Crowley. Hi, Jim. Thanks for coming. All right, that's it. So now if I missed you, you can let me know later, please. One of the things I want to mention, Mark and I went to Phoenix together, Mark Duncan and I, who is our state representative, about 10 days ago and met with APS, that and a bunch of other folks. And Mark was telling me about his schedule in Santa Fe. They go till many nights, 2:30 in the morning, debating bills on the floor, fighting and arguing, and I'm sure discussing items around the legislature. But he was telling me they go to 2:30, then they get up at 6 and go to a breakfast. And, you know, after all that these guys put up with, I think we owe all of our legislators, although there's only Mark, I think, here, a round of applause, soon to be Steve. But thank you for your service, sir. We know it's a lot of work, but for what they pay you, I think it's probably worth it. For said board members, there's a bunch of them here. Could you guys raise your hand? These guys run the organization, and they run it very well. And Jeremiah is our chair, and thank you, board members, for your good work over the last really several years. So thanks so much. And then ForSed members, these are folks that actually pay dues to the organization, and we have a bunch of members. We are at 99, I think. I was hoping to get one more yesterday and didn't, so I could announce 100. But I'll leave that for our new CEO, who we'll introduce here in just a minute. So if you are a paying member, and if you're supposed to be a paying member and haven't paid, raise your hand. All right. I know we have more than that. Cliff, you're a member and you didn't raise your hand. So there you go. No, if you did pay. Okay. So thank you guys for our membership. That's how we get along, month to month, year to year. Let's see. I want to share just a couple of things around what's going on at ForSed. Very enthused about some of our initiatives and what's going on. You're going to hear a lot today from other folks around the municipalities and the county and so on. But at ForSed, let me just mention a couple things. With the good and hard work of Chris Hunter, where's Chris? Oh, right there. We took hydrogen to the altar to become a hydrogen hub, and we didn't get selected, and that was very disappointing for a lot of reasons. But the amount of work that went into that on Chris's behalf was amazing, and NAPI, Dave Zeller's not here today, but NAPI helped pay that for that effort. And we think that hydrogen is still very much alive, and maybe another round of funding or maybe private funds will help us push this hydrogen initiative over the hump, which is going to be fantastic for San Juan County. So cross your fingers on that. Nancy Shepard and her business retention and expansion efforts, that is a very, very important initiative for Four Corners Economic Development and any other economic development organization around the country. It's taking care of our businesses in our county and making sure that we can help them where we can grow their business, add jobs, make more profit, add wealth to the county. That's business retention and expansion. We're going to continue that, and we'll continue it forever, okay? You got that, Chairman, incoming Chairman, Vince? We're going to continue it forever. Very important. I mentioned going to Phoenix with Mark Duncan 2 weeks ago. We met with a contingent of APS folks. Thanks. I'm not sure what that's for, but thanks. Laser. Alicia Corbell with the School of Energy went with us, did a fantastic job presenting on behalf of the college. Lots of other folks went. I can't name them all. Terry Dash down there, Steve Gray, and so on. The idea on this meeting was to collaborate with APS as they move forward in their transition with Four Corners Generating Station. And what might that look like over the next 7 or 8 years? They want to be excellent corporate citizens as they transition. And we don't know the details, but we do know that they are committed to San Juan County, the Navajo Nation, and other counties that are coal-affected communities. And just had a fabulous 3.5-hour meeting with APS there. So look for more of that coming soon. Big news, ForSed budget is balanced. Yay. Yay, okay. Thanks to people like Cliff, who did pay his bill. And really, we have opportunities for additional revenue. We're getting better at grant writing. We're getting better at meeting the folks in Santa Fe, the folks in Washington, D.C., and as all of us know, there's a lot of money out there. And we're getting to the table on some of those efforts. And so things are looking, I would say, better than ever for Four Corners Economic Development and the financial viability of that organization as we move forward. Okay, enough of that. Big news this week. And I want to introduce our new CEO, but I'm actually not going to do it. I'm going to pass it over to Jeremiah here in just a second. Tim Gibbs has joined us as the new CEO of Four Corners Economic Development. He and his wife, Bev, made it here from Kentucky with 2 cats, 3 boats, and 9 cars. Now, you wonder, where did he put all this stuff? We don't know, but Tim started with Four Corners Economic Development yesterday, and the good news is he came back today, even in spite of all that. while I was wandering around, I had two people ask me, so now that Tim's here, what's going to be your new title? And then I heard him mutter something about unemployment. I don't know. Not true. Nancy will already scold me because I screw it up every time. Evaluations on the table. Make sure you fill those out. Those are important as we move forward and make these better and better. And then your name tags, speaking of balanced budget, if you keep your name tag and don't deposit it with Nancy on your way out, our budget will not be balanced. So make sure you put your name tag in that bucket or whatever she's holding them in. With that being said, Jeremiah, who, by the way, has been an incredible chairman for the last 2 years and done some amazing things for our organization. Jeremiah Hayes, have at it. Appreciate it. You bet.
Thanks. Well, I want to echo what Mr. Bird said. Thank you for being here, first and foremost. As I look around the room, this community is an amazing, amazing place to be. And I think the longer you're here, the more you start to appreciate it. And the more you start to just appreciate the people. There's many, many people in this room that I have grown to love over the years. People I've served with in Leadership San Juan. The coach of my son's soccer team is here. Rob Mays gave me my first job cleaning toilets in a church. And many, many relationships that we built. So it's my honor to introduce Mr. Tim Gibbs, who is new to our community, but we're super excited to have him. Tim is finishing his doctorate in educational leadership. He is the former president of the Kentucky Association of Economic Development, served on the board of the Washington State Economic Development Association, was on the board of the Tenco Workforce Development Council. He has 20 years of economic development leadership experience and one hell of a snappy dresser too. So Tim, thank you so much for joining our community.
It's an honor to be in front of you. This is day 2, and day 1 was an exciting day. I got to learn even more about the community. I got to learn more about Forset and about the initiatives that are underway. And events like this are incredibly important. You know, every one of us has a computer in our pocket. We have access to information from around the world, but how often do we sit together and break bread or burritos to learn about our community and to be able to ask questions and to be able to be a part of the process? I look forward to my time at Forset. I have worked in the West. I've worked in gas and oil communities. My wife and I, and she's my better 3/4, not better half, but better 3/4, that's true. We're honored to be a part, not just to be here, but to learn about you and your culture and the context of what makes this a special place. We want to make it better as well. At first, there's going to be quite a bit of listening. Certainly a perspective and some experiences brought to the table, but I need to understand, and I need to understand the context of how we got to where we are and potentially where we're going and how we can help you get there. It will be about jobs. It will be about investment. It will be about making this community the best it can be and the best version of itself for the generations to come. I'm honored. I hope that each one of you I get a chance to sit down with and talk and learn from your perspectives and bring that to the table to help this board and this community move forward. A couple of things about me. You're always going to see my glasses because the sun could shine, okay? So I'm an optimist first and foremost. I did have to plug this in last night to get this bright. I will have to get me some new ties as well. But I look forward to the journey. Everything I've done in economic development has been about helping communities find their way. When I was 18 years old, I knew I wanted to do this. I knew I wanted to help communities be better. I wanted for people to have the opportunities to stay home. I wanted families to be able to do better than the generation before. I learned this from my father. My father was a commercial industrial electrician. For 47 years, he ran an electrical contracting company. But what he did was he taught 100 young men and a few young ladies as well, a career that would change their lives and their families' lives for generations to come. I want to take that to the next step as well. Everything I've done has been investing in people, investing in workforce, investing in communities. It's fitting that we're at the college campus here because they're such a major partner as well. I've tried to better myself throughout my career in learning. I'm still a student. I'm probably the oldest college student you know. But first and foremost, I'm just honored to be here and come to the table to hear the voices and to work to make this community be what it can be, this organization be what it can be, and understanding how we can serve you, the business community, and the elected officials and the people they represent. So I think I'm the last thing between you and the real meat of this meeting here today. But I want to say thank you to each one of you, and I look forward to the conversations we will have and the progress we will have together, united with Forsed and our partners as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tim. That's pretty good. Here's your coffee. Don't forget that.
Oh, yeah. I want to get my burrito, too.
Yes, go get your food. This is kind of funny. Mr. Gibbs, Tim. That's why he's not at the front table. So we're going to fix that really quick. That's what happens when you're new. Tim. Yes. All right. All right. So you're going to have my chair here in just a second. All right. We're going to get started on our program today. Very excited that we are joined by our counties and our municipalities and their representatives. And people said, well, what order are you going to go in? And I thought about it, and I thought, well, let's just go alphabetical. So we're going to start with Kirtland, because A before K, unless it's today. And so, Mark Duncan, you start us off. He's going to talk about Kirtland and then a little bit of legislative stuff. Okay, and you can come up here or do there, whatever you want to do.
You can give our presentation also.
You know,
Are you going to do this? 2 minutes? Yeah.
Thank you. You know, they asked us to talk a little bit about the economic development in our communities today, and so I tasked this young man right here, how many years ago? 7 years ago, to get a grocery store for Kirtland. We still don't have a grocery store. And I'm still not letting him off the hook. It's not his job anymore, but I don't care. Wherever he goes, I tell him to talk. Now it's your job. Yes, sir. Tim, you've got it. So, Kirtland, we're still in I'd say, the infancy stages of where we want to be. We have embraced outdoor activity in any way, shape, or form. And our economic development, and Alex is here, and he's heard me talk about this many times. Whatever we can do for our kids and our elderly, let's do it. So we are in the process of building a splash pad, a really nice splash pad, as a matter of fact. I was able to get some capital outlay last year, and so we're doing a splash pad, as well as things for older folks, pickleball courts as well this year. So that's our economic development. We hope that people will take their kids to Dairy Queen and buy some gas and buy a Coke afterward. We don't have, a hospital just in case people hurt themselves while they're playing pickleball courts. So please don't. But those are some of the things we're doing. Mike and I talk quite often about what the county's doing that is close to Kirtland and what we can do as well. And I'm probably going to let him, if he wants to talk about some of those things, talk about some of those things because it is on county property, but it's very close by. So that's what the town of Kirtland's doing. We are in the final stages of our grocery store from... Okay, let's just go on then. Let me talk just a little bit about the session, 30-day session. Only things that the governor calls up are money related. I can tell you this, that whatever they can do to destroy the family is on their agenda. That's it. I had multiple opportunities to talk with folks who were presenting bills, and I said, if you will strengthen the family unit, you'll get rid of 50 to 75% of the societal problems. And that is a foreign concept. And I can tell you that's a foreign concept to folks. But it's a true concept. If we would strengthen the family, our kids wouldn't be committing suicide. We'd have better jobs, and we'd be doing a lot better in lots and lots of areas. Paid family medical leave, let me touch on that briefly. Kudos to Vince and to Jamie. They worked and worked and worked and worked. That will come back this year again, and that's one of those things that, again, it sounds really good on paper. We're going to allow a mother to take 12 weeks off to bond with their child. That's a great concept. That's not what they're after. The concept is to allow 12 weeks to be with that child, and then to take that child from there on and put him in school, put him in daycare. And that's when I presented what I said about that. I said, you know, if you would strengthen the family unit, you wouldn't have as many problems. And this is where they're after. They're going to try to continue to destroy the family, and from birth to death. That's what they're gonna do. So we fought hard against that. That will be back this coming session. They've reached out. I can't tell you how many times in the hallways folks pulled me aside and said, what can we do to make it better? I said, well, first off, you can take everything out of there except for mother having a baby and maybe helping a parent, an elderly parent out. But as it stands right now, Mr. Larson, I don't know you, but I could write a letter for you stating that you have mental challenges and you need to be off for 12 weeks. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a caregiver. I'm not even your friend. But I can write you a letter and get you off. There's some serious problems with that. I don't think anybody in this room would deny the fact that, yeah, we want moms to be with their babies. Yeah, we want folks to be able to take care of their elderly parents. But I don't think it's right for me to write Tory a note or a letter to his employer stating that I think he needs off for 12 weeks because he's got whatever. One of the issues of that, I told him as we were debating that in the hallway, I said, you are now able to give me a note because my dog is not feeling good. And that's where this is going. And they didn't deny it. So I think this next session will be, I think it'll be just about as fast and furious as this one is. They didn't get a lot of things through that they wanted through. We take victories where we can get them, and we're grateful for those because there's not very many of those. Have any of you ever gone to an Artesia football game? Have any of you ever heard about Artesia football? Okay. Well, I had the chance to play Artesia for 30 straight days. I played in my senior year and got beat. I got beat 30 straight days. We took our victories where we can, and we had a couple of good victories there, and we'll claim those. So, but I can't tell you how important it is for you to get involved. We have 25 legislators on the House side that are fighting for business, literally fighting for business. We got some crossover, some moderate folks that joined with us. When they don't join with us, we're outnumbered 45 to 25. And so there's not a lot we can do. So that's why I say it's so critically important for our communities to get involved and let them know down in Santa Fe just exactly what your desires are. We serve at your request. And so please get involved. Please get involved. It's an easy 2-minute thing to get on an email and email the governor or email our staff or email the speaker or the Senate Pro Tem president. You can do that. And that sways people. It sways them. So please get involved. Anything else I'm going to talk about?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Representative Duncan. And next up, we have Denver DeWees and Jeff Blackburn from our friends to the east of us in Aztec. So come on up. Okay.
Well, my presentation is going to be a little different. I thought this was a roast of Scott Bird going out. Now, I want to thank you all today for allowing us to share with you some exciting news about Aztec. Aztec is honored to be a part of FORSED, and by extension, partners with all of you. I'm Jeff Blackburn. Some of you may know me, most of you probably don't. I'm the city manager for the city of Aztec, and I've been an employee there for 17 years. I've been the city manager for the last 2, and I'm also a local boy. I graduated from Farmington High School in 1980, but I've lived in Aztec, Bloomfield, and Kirtland, and actually went to grade school in Kirtland, so I know all of these communities. In my time in Aztec, I've seen a lot of change, and I think it's mostly for the better. To say Aztec is safe and quiet and a lovely community to live in is an understatement. I think it's a great place to raise children, to retire as a bedroom community and as a growing community. We have excellent public spaces. Our parks are beautiful. We've got great employees, and we are guided by a clear vision, meaningful values and objectives. So I'm going to talk about a few of the economic development things that relate to FORSED and to all of you and to our community, and then our electric director, Denver DeWees, is going to come up and talk about some of the projects which are a little less economic oriented but overall affect the economic development of the city of Aztec. So first off, in 2017, our commission approved $100,000 to help with local economic development. Our then community development director developed most of the ordinances and steps to get this money to businesses on Main Street who need assistance. We had a couple applications over the last few years, but none have come to fruition. I'm glad to announce that last year we began working with 2 potential candidates, and they're in the final stages of awarding some of this money. Upon final approval of the ordinances by our commission and participation agreements being signed by the property owners, we'll be able to get some money to these businesses. We'll be able to reimburse them for construction projects. In both cases, it's failing roofs. And both of the business, Rustic Creation, which is the old Aztec feed store, and the Lenore are replacing their roofs. So we have these older buildings on Aztec, on Main Street, that need some help, and that was the main focus of this money. And so we hope to, and again with the finalization, get each one of them about $50,000 in reimbursement. I got some text yesterday from Robin Kelly, who owns the Lenore, and she started on the replacement of her roof. I believe Rustic Creation is in the process. We hope to continue this project over the next couple of years and help save these historic buildings because they're very important to the city of Aztec. The next thing we've done, in 2018, our commission approved a downtown metropolitan redevelopment area plan. The initial plan encumbered the area marked in yellow, and that was the South Main Street. Last year, we went back to the commission and talked to them about expanding that MRA to provide benefits and opportunities, redevelopment opportunities, and help the area reach its full economic potential. Also, we wanted to incorporate our new North Main Extension project into the MRA. So that's the area marked in blue. In 2023, we finished the North Main Extension project. The project was funded by a $2.5 million grant by the governor with a $700,000 contribution from the city. This is another private partnership venture in which the private landowners deeded the land for the city infrastructure development. This extension also serves as a walking park that connects Animas de Rio Park, the Aztec Ruins, Walk Bridge, Aztec Ruins, and downtown Aztec. The project includes a construction of looped road, curb, gutter, sidewalks, parking area, and a central plaza. Utilities include the extension of electric, water, wastewater for future development by private landowners with the roadway and the pedestrian lighting. There are 8 properties that front on the developed street and have full access to the utilities. 1 property has recently been sold to a local private investor. 1 property is under contract, and the others remain up for sale. In addition, the city has paid for a hotel study with a group from Durango Pioneer Development Company, and that study has concluded there is room in Aztec for an additional hotel. We're actively seeking potential hotelers who would be interested in constructing a hotel, most likely around a 50 to 70 unit hotel we'd like to have with a little bit of meeting space, and a small restaurant would be optimum for us. Here are some pictures of the finished product of the North Main extension. On the left is facing to the south at nighttime during Christmas time, and from the parking lot back towards the 516 and 550 intersection. And then on the right is facing to the south from the plaza, and over that tree line is where the Aztec ruins would be located. Next up, Pioneer Heights subdivision, which began back in 2012. The first phase is approximately 90+% done with a few lots left to sell. The developers come back in and they want to develop another additional 20 lots or better. So we need roofs in Aztec. Certainly we have some inventory, but to try to attract people to come into Aztec, we need more inventory, and that's hopefully will help us solve some of this problem. In addition, over the last year, and I know this is not a huge number compared to others, but we've had 7 new homes built, and we have 2 that are applying for application right now. In 2021, the city of Aztec received a $500,000 economic development grant. The grant was to develop, construct, equip a recreation manufacturing project, retail project in Aztec. Currently, we're seeking permission from the DFA to purchase 2.5 acres of property, and we're working with a local architect to design some conceptual drawings of an industrial building with manufacturing and retail space. Our intent in that effort is to add extra incentive for someone to partner with us to put this funding to use and develop a small manufacturing, outdoor recreation product type business. In addition, we've done community outreach and worked closely with the State Economic Development Department to help us find a small manufacturer to take advantage of this opportunity. Currently, we don't have a front-runner candidate, but we would ask that you help us spread the word on this fantastic opportunity. Next, I'm going to ask Denver to step up, and he's going to tell you about some of the infrastructure projects. I'll come back up for the last slide and close out.
Thanks, Jeff. My name's Denver DeWees. I am the, ooh, that's hot, isn't it? I am the electric utility director, as stated, for the city of Aztec, and I also handle help with capital project management for the city. And the first project that we're going to talk about under our major projects today is Reservoir 1. Reservoir 1 is a 10 million gallon storage tank. This was a rehab of a failing pond, actually. It's currently under construction. It's a $2.9 million project. It was fully grant funded by OSC and through the Gold King grant. We're looking at an October finish date for this. The next project is McWilliams Road. This is an interesting project. It connects North Oliver and North Light Plant Street. It's currently a dirt road. It's a bus path. This road is designed with a 10-foot pedestrian path, multi-purpose path. It's a $1.25 million project, and again, it's fully grant funded by DOT and ARPA funds. The next road project has been under plan and design for multiple decades now. It's called the East Arterial. Currently, we're working on phase 2. It's $17.8 million, federal and state funded. It's 2.1 mile truck bypass, basically, and the thought process here is to get large vehicle traffic off of Main Street. So this will go from 550 around to Highway 173. It's a multi-phase project, but this is the largest phase, and we're looking to break ground on that project this fiscal year. The next one is near and dear to my heart, as they all are. This is Ancient Trail Solar Field. It's 2 megawatts of additional solar. This would be our second solar field that we construct, and it's also has 4 megawatt hour of battery storage. We've acquired the land already under BLM lease. This is going to be in the neighborhood of a $9 million project. It's currently in engineering and design phases and seeking to finish out the funding. We've worked on the performa quite a bit, but we're still needing a little bit more funding to get that one across the finish line. The next project's the South Aztec water system, and this is a multi-phase project as well. We have a bladder tank that is at end of life and that's in the process of failing at this point, and we just secured through legislative money out of the last session $2 million to put towards this project. We're going to put a 1 million gallon tank in to replace the one that's failing at this point. Phase 2 is a transmission line, probably going to be about a 12-inch water line that will replace a failing line between Aztec and Bloomfield. And the third phase is to beef up some of the distribution line. We've got a moratorium area because the distribution water system isn't sufficient enough outside of the city limits in some of the area that we provide water to in the county. And so phase 3 of this would be to beef up that system and get some fire protection and things. So again, a multi-phase project, and that takes us out of all of our major capital projects at this time.
I just want to say to close that when I took over as the city manager for the city of Aztec, my message has consistently been service, service, service. I think government is about serving, and I worked very hard to get that message to my people. We want Aztec to be known for being open for business. We want to be a business-friendly community, and we recognize, and I'm sure this reputation gets around for every community, that some people see us as business unfriendly. We're trying to change that. As you can see, we're trying to help existing businesses grow by offering economic development funds, reaching out. I've seen more of our more prominent landowners and business people in the city hall than I've ever seen in the past, and that's partially due to our new community development director, Andrew DiCamillo. We want to invest in the future. We want to attract new businesses and residents. We're trying to get that flag up high for people to recognize that Aztec is a great place. If you want to come as a retiree, if you're moving out of the West because of all of the regulation and issues that are facing California, Nevada, even Hawaii to some degree, that we're welcoming and we want you in our community. And we're doing everything we can to improve the infrastructure. As most communities, we're a little bit behind the 8 ball, but we're working hard to improve. So I want to thank you all for having us up today and appreciate you listening.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff and Denver. Boy, what a lot of projects for a moderately small town to be undertaking. I am discouraged that you didn't mention the 1977 Aztec High School golf team and their dominance.
What do you want to mention about that?
Oh, I just heard about it. All right, let's move on. Bloomfield. Cynthia, thanks again for coming. And we have our city manager, George Duncan, who's going to speak about all the stuff they have going on. So, George, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay. I was a fire chief for many years in Bloomfield, and I retired, and I went sailing, which I'm an outdoor kind of guy, and I enjoyed that. I see my ex-co-worker back there, Smiley, because she's going to go motoring, correct, Julie? So, in any case, when I came back from about 4 months of doing that, one day I get a phone call, and I look down and it's Ken Hare. Now, I've known Ken since I was 4 years old or 5 years old. He's just a smidgen older than I, but he said, hey, you got a moment to have lunch? So we did, and he said, hey, what do you think about being the city manager? And I'm thinking, I kind of like being retired, but after a conversation with Ken and the Mayor Atencio, I decided, yeah, I'll jump in here and see what we can get done. So one of the first things I did, and they've been very supportive of me, is I went to the council and I said, look, I see Bloomfield having a lot of possibility. And one thing we need to do is really clean up the community. And when I say clean up the community, we need to get out there on the highways, state highways, which they very seldom sweep. We started doing that, picking up trash, sprucing the area up. And I said, and we're going to not make a lot of friends when we do this. We're going to go into neighborhoods and evaluate those and get things done. So they've been very supportive, and I appreciate that to everyone. And I have a great staff. So some of the things that I was just going to talk about, I'll circle back around with that, is our revenues since 2022 are up 9%, which is good. Other streams of revenue are like our senior center, fitness center, aquatic center, franchise fees, and utilities. They're all doing very well. We're seeing, especially since the end of COVID, the senior center, more activity there. The city operates its own fitness center, more activity there, and the aquatic center. Now, we lose money on the aquatic center. If you own a pool, that's what you do, right, Rob? Yes. I'm glad he agreed. But it's a service to the community, and we believe it's worth it. Okay? And construction permits are staying consistent within Bloomfield. And I'm not sure how many homes we had constructed in Bloomfield. Mr. Hare has been really involved in a lot of that development, so perhaps he can tell you. Potential new business opportunities. We have a family in Bloomfield that they are really getting ready to expand some of their property that they just recently bought. And they came to us and wanted to know if we had any kind of traffic counts, and we did. And the way we do this, and it's not unique, we have license plate readers on every road coming into Bloomfield, state roads, county roads. And the reason they do that is more for law enforcement use. But we can determine the types of vehicles that move in here. So for the month of January, this past January, there's 366,000 vehicles came in to Bloomfield in that 30-day period. Now, there's about a 20% margin of error there, and we believe about a 20% more than that. The problem you run into is when you have 3 lanes of traffic like we do on Highway 64 coming into Bloomfield, it doesn't necessarily read all the vehicles. But we know that's at least what we have, that 366. And some of this is, a lot of this is semi-truck traffic. They had a company in there that were looking to relocate into Bloomfield, but they were really curious about the semi-truck traffic. And they were just getting these horrendously low numbers, like 8 to 10 a day, something to that magnitude. And I'm thinking, if you're coming in to Bloomfield, San Juan County, and you're going to Farmington, you're going to Aztec, you're going to come through 550. So we started using this as a resource. We came up with these numbers. They had been out there hand counting these numbers, and they were doing it for a 2-hour period, 2-hour period, and multiplying it times 24, I suppose, but their numbers were just atrocious. So we believe by using that resource we have, we sold them on it. They're very interested in it now. And so that's going to help one of our current business owners. We also have people searching for some property they can develop. We know this from other contacts out there. They're looking for some retail space, construction for some large retail space. So we're pleased with that. Some of the initiatives that I have thrown out there for our people, and Jeff spoke very highly of, service to the community, and I truly believe that too. I think that's the only way we can move forward. And, in this county, most of you probably don't know this, but these gentlemen here, Mr. Stark, Mr. Mays, and Jeff, and Mark Duncan, cousin Duncan, or we think we may be cousins. We meet at least once a month for meetings to share information and share ideas and share thoughts. And I got to tell you, Farmington and the county and Aztec are always very giving of their resources. I appreciate that, and thank you so much. But those are the things we're attempting to do. We're out there cleaning the roadways, including the shoulders. Now, sounds geeky, but I'm a bicyclist, which I don't know if that's geeky, but when I see a bicyclist coming through Bloomfield with panniers on, they're bike packing, I'll get ahead of them and, motion them over, and I'll interview these folks. And the reason I do that, I want to know what they're thinking, where they're going, because I kind of like doing that as well. And I'll ask them, what's your biggest concerns when you're coming through an area, a community? And Bloomfield had a bike shop, but we don't any longer. And they'll say, well, sometimes our bikes will need some attention. The roadways, we want those clean, so that's why we sweep those. Because if you're riding a road bike with these skinny little tires on it, you're going to have a flat. Okay? That's going to happen. So we started putting every size tube imaginable in police cars. And so if they run into someone, and they say, look, what can we do for you? He said, do you have a 27 millimeter tube? I say, sure, we got it. Do you have a 29 inch tube? Yep, we got it. So they give them away free. We keep them at City Hall for the same reason. We want to be bike friendly. That's why I interview these people. What are your needs? We've allowed them to camp behind the fire station in a grassy area. We've allowed them to use showers after we vet them and make sure they're not wanted for some type of horrendous murder. And we've allowed them to sleep in the dorm rooms. We want to be bike friendly because that's what the message gets back out. Hey, if you come into Bloomfield, you're going to be treated well, and maybe they'll come back. They'll tell their friends about it. We've also started removing a lot of buildings posing hazards, a lot of dilapidated buildings. And we're not doing this, we're doing it for safety, and that might be the guys to go forward to take them out, but we are doing it in the proper way. We're just not going in there taking them. We're trying to work with the owners until they work with us, if you will. We've facelifted our parks, including re-laying bricks pavers at the river walks, which was really it had been there for 20 some odd years, and it was just looking real ratty. So we went in there and laid all those brick pavers last summer, maybe in the spring of last year. We bought our own masticators, started taking out a lot of Russian olives. They are the blight of the Southwest, and that's my mission. I'm going to get rid of them if we can along the river. We had done this through a contract basis, but we found that we could never get the contractors in there when we needed them, so we bought our own masticator. We've been doing some facelift on public buildings. Our cultural center is currently underway with all new flooring. And one thing, too, I've asked our employees to do is be cognizant and be good Samaritans. If you're driving along and someone has a flat tire, stop. If you feel safe, you don't feel fear for yourself, change that tire. Get out, change the tire. I've had police officers doing it, firefighters doing it. I've done it. We have municipal operation people doing it. Whomever out there, and if you're not capable of doing it, get on the radio, get on the phone, call the MOC. They'll come take care of it. It's just like Jeff said, let's be that person, okay? We also spend a lot of time cleaning public lands. In this county, 93% of it's public lands. And if you go anywhere out there, you're going to find some trash. And I've asked Mr. Stark, if we go out there and clean it up and pick it up, will you guys pay the tip fees? And he has graciously agreed to do that. We do one to two of those a year. Sometimes we have people out weekly doing it on a smaller basis, just with a pickup and not dump trucks. But we mobilize and get that out there and get it picked up. Because if we do that, hopefully when people are out there biking your trails, our trails, all the area that we have, they'll see not trash, but they'll see the beauty of the yucca out there and the cedar trees and the pinon trees and the vistas that we can go out any day and enjoy and play on. So that's what some of our initiatives. We, speaking of bike friendly, we got a grant for bike racks, and we put every public building in Bloomfield, not the schools, but every public building. This is the Fire Museum downtown. So we're doing that, just say, shout out to everyone, hey, look, some of these bikes, $7,000, $8,000, tie it up, chain it up. We want them to feel comfortable. City projects that we currently have going. Blanco Bridge replacement. This used to be 64, is Blanco corridor. And when they built the new highway through Bloomfield, first, I think it was deeded to perhaps San Juan County, and then we got the property through that. And this bridge has probably been there for 50 years, and it was really in poor shape. So we've got a $3 million project. We're going to go in there. We're not going to put in a bridge. We're going to put in concrete box culverts. And it'll widen the bridge. It'll provide pedestrian ways, both eastbound, westbound, as well as bike lanes, eastbound and westbound. So that's under construction. Right now, we're replacing some sewer lines in there. We've got a new 1 million gallon water tank that we're going to be, it's out for proposals right now. It's a 1.93 million gallon project. It's going to be on the west side of Bloomfield so it can increase the fire flow out there. We have some areas that they don't have the kind of fire flow they need so we can maintain our insurance service office rating. So that is underway. We've got a new reservoir. Our current reservoir is only good for 30 days of storage. It's called the Aragon Reservoir. It's on the east side of Bloomfield. And it serves us well. It's just not large enough. So we started looking at a new site for a reservoir. This property was going to be on the Scott property. Jack Scott owns the property. After some engineering and studies, we found it just wasn't a viable site. We had gone to the San Juan Water Commission and requested some funding from them, and they graciously approved that funding for the Jack Scott property. And then once we went to we found a new site on North Size Lane that we're hopefully, we are in negotiations with trying to buy the property. We've got our appraisal going. We believe this is a better site for a number of reasons. The soils are better. The groundwater is absent. It's just a better site. We're going to, if we build this reservoir, the potential, and I know Matt with Geomats here, the potential for this is giving us an extra 5 months of storage. So that gives us 6 months of storage into our community. And, you know, everyone's seen the dilemma that occurred last summer with the devastating thing with the BID canal. Their flumes, their siphons, they were failing. It's an old, the ditch is 100 years old, and it is just failing. And they're getting funding to get it replaced, but it's going to take time. This canal is somewhere around 45 miles long, and it is just failing. It needs to be replaced. They're working to get it done. In the meantime, we got some funding years back to put in what we call our second source, where we can pump directly out of the San Juan River into our reservoirs. And that's just, it's just a godsend when we lost that canal, because we pumped for, I believe, 60 days out of the San Juan River without any interruption. We have the capability of pumping somewhere around north of 6,000 gallons per minute with these pumps. And that was, you know, funding that we got from the state legislature years ago. Steve Neville was, Senator Neville was really instrumental in that, and it's proven to be a great asset. Is Steve here? No? Yeah. Also, we're expanding the trail system along the San Juan River. We started that 23 years ago, and the impetus for that was looking at what Farmington had done. Farmington had done a great job there, and we had seen that, so we began our own. We just added another 2,200 lineal feet from a private owner that is deeding us that property so we can continue the trail. We purchased additional 30 acres, the city did, to include some additional trail work along the river. And we're in negotiations with the BLM, actually doing some assessments, environmental assessments on some BLM property so we can get the lease from them for another 2,000 feet. I think it's 2,000 feet, somewhere in that. That'll give us roughly just short of a mile of additional riverfront property. We have some property on 5th Street, which many years ago was a refinery. And we got some Brownsville money that's coming from, actually it's not coming directly from the feds to us. It went down to the state of New Mexico, and they're going to allow us to use that funding to clean up that Brownsville property. It's a blight on the community right there in the center of the town, but we've got it on our radar to get that cleaned up. There's a rendition, or not a rendition, but a view of the pavers being redone last summer. I'm glad I didn't have to do it. My knees would never take it. And then I'm going to leave this just for people that, you know, it's not a lark, but I just want you to think about this. This is what you see in a lot of areas. This is northeast of Bloomfield. It's out in the county. It's on BLM property. It almost looks like Badlands when you go look at this. I mean, the Badlands, the good stuff. And somebody takes these televisions out there, and this was used for target practice. You know, you used to, when I was a kid, you paid 10 cents or 5 cents on a bottle when you got a Coke. We used to call them pops. We need to put about a $1,000 deposit on these televisions. Maybe we can clean this stuff up. So that's all I have. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, George. Next up, we have the City Manager for Farmington, Rob Mays, and Warren Unsicker, who is the leader of the Economic Development Department with the City of Farmington. So have at it, guys.
Well, good morning. Yeah, my name is Rob Mays. I'm the City Manager in Farmington, and with me is Warren Unsicker, our Economic Development Director. Just kind of an overview of kind of our focus and how we approach strategically economic development. We're a little bit different than the smaller entities. We are very enthusiastic and partners with ForSed and involved in support there and have been for years. We also have our own economic development department that focuses on not only the city of Farmington, but frankly many regional areas. A couple other introductions. I did see Councilor Rogers came in, and I wanted to let you all greet her. And then I needed to mention Julie Baird. Julie Baird is going to be retiring in December, and she has been serving local municipal government here for 27 years and has been my deputy for 8. And it's a silent, thankless job. And we're going to be talking a lot about projects today. And frankly, if you ask me any hard questions about projects, I'm going to be referring you to Julie, because she, in fact, is the project person at the City of Farmington, along with, of course, many great staff members. But she has really been the person that is going to leave her thumbprint on this community when she retires. But I've been the city manager for 18 years now. The bad side of that is that it's very clear who to blame. If there's anything that you don't like in Farmington, I can't blame anyone else but me. But the good side is you get to start to have literally a generational impact and influence. So people like Jeremiah Hayes, who, it's true, I did hire him as a janitor. I think I was about his age when I did that, and now look at me. But when my day of retirement finally comes, which is still a few years out, I will remember fondly and be proud of many of the projects that I've had a hand in, but most important, I will be proud of the relationships and the impacts I've had on generations of leaders coming up in our community, and some of you are here as well. We had 48 slides for you, but Bloomfield and Aztec took all of our time. And so we're going to cut those down to 19 slides. Scott said just focus on the quality of life projects. No one cares about anything like running water, electricity rates, those kind of things. So we're going to skip that. But I am going to touch on a couple of those projects that are less sexy, and then Warren's going to hit on take you through the slides on quality of life projects, and we'll tag team just a little bit. Just one update, our new Farmington Police Department building that we purchased, the Hill Court building out on Bloomfield Highway. Thanks to the state, we received $3 million of capital funding this year that if the governor doesn't line item veto, we'll be able to move ahead with our renovations and moving into our new Farmington Police Department. So obviously public safety is a huge priority for us, and not just, again, the fun projects. Water Treatment Plant 1 is a $20 million renovation. You know, it's easy to ignore water infrastructure, but there's nothing more important than clean water and meeting our drinking water standards from the federal government. A lot of interest in the last year about the Farmington Electric Utility. As you know, when the state of New Mexico literally stole our $120 million generation asset at San Juan Generating Station, caused an immediate spike in our rates of 10% that we expected. But then through a series of commodity price issues last year, we ended up with a much higher rate increase than that. I'm happy to tell you that we're here now for several months. We're back down to the lowest rates in the region in a multi-state area, and so we're back. We survived that storm, but it took some serious sacrifice. The state of New Mexico actually gave us a $10 million consolation prize for stealing our $120 million generation asset. We were able to plug that, though, directly into our ratepayers subsidizing bills last year when things were so high. And the city of Farmington allocated $10 million out of our coffers to subsidize electric bills. So as high as they were, trust me, they would have been a lot higher. But all that is a result of the cascading national energy policy in our state leading the way with policy there that ultimately took that great asset from us. That is one of the primary reasons why farm electric rates for the last 30 years have been the cheapest in Farmington than, frankly, most places in the nation. So we have lost that. Pinion Hills Extension, after 30 years, 4 mayors, 3 city managers, multiple city councilors, multiple community leaders have been involved in the vision for this project. It is finally here. Ground will break here in just a couple of weeks on this project, and so it's going to happen. That's going to connect the Pinion Hills Extension there at Pinion and Main Street out to County Road 3000, and then our friends at the county will pick up and finish the road in the county section. This is a $43 million project, $38 million funded by the federal government. There's a $5 million local match that we're still very optimistic that with our partners at New Mexico State DOT and our legislature, we're still very optimistic we'll be able to get that fully funded from state and federal sources. We just, City Council just awarded a contract for a $4.5 million feasibility study. It's really a pre-engineering, 30% engineering on raising our dam by 25 feet. And if we're able to raise that dam by 25 feet, it will increase the capacity of our water by 75%. That will leave Farmington with as much as a year and a half of water supply. And really that lake is a regional supply. 49% of the water the city of Farmington processes through that plant and treats goes outside the city limits to our regional and community partners. Only 49% of it stays in the city limits. And so that's being funded in a partnership with San Juan County Water, a commission, State of New Mexico, and local City of Farmington funds. I always remind people this is my favorite story, and I will tell it when I'm in a rocking chair rocking about the memories of drinking whiskey, the memories of in Florida in the sun, about the memories of being city manager is pay attention to who you vote for. We have a great elected body, but this lake back in the late 1960s only passed by a 3-2 vote. 2 councilors at the time said we could never possibly need that lake and have water. That would never, it's a waste of money. 3 of them back in the 60s had the vision to look to the future and know how desperately we need that water and how important it is to our future here. And now even again as the regional water supply as well as emergency water supply, and now even talking about the need. And so some people would say now, we can't believe you're spending that money on thinking about raising the dam. We'll never need that. Well, we will. The truth is that those of us in this room probably won't. But the generation to come will look back and say, I'm glad that leaders then thought about something as audacious as raising that dam 25 feet and increasing our water supply for our future. Worley Field is, if you've noticed it, we supply the ball fields for the Farmington Municipal Schools as well as the City of Farmington leagues, and it's a challenge. These structures are all aging out, as well as we have a huge capacity problem. We've grown, and the use and demand of the fields from the schools and from city leagues is far beyond our capacity. Worley Field is one that we are completely renovating, and we can just continue to invest in that old infrastructure. I'm not just building new stuff, but trying to take care of the old stuff. But we need more ball fields as well. So, all right, with that, we're talking fast because I'm going to leave a little time for the county.
Scott asked me to give you a quick update. If you do need to take a head out ahead of time, don't worry. We're being a little long-winded today, and I plan to do the same, but it's all good. So feel free to step out when you're in need to. I went around the horn too far. So as Rob mentioned, I'm going to touch a little bit on some of the outdoor recreation projects that we have in the works, and we've been very fortunate this last year and a half or so to receive numerous grants for all these amazing projects. First and foremost, I want to touch on the All Abilities Park. This is a really exciting project that we're keen to have as a regional draw for the entire community and 4-state region. This All Abilities Park will be at the old Tibbetts Middle School site. We've already received a $3 million grant from the state, as well as a TAP, the Tibbetts All Abilities Park Association has $1.7 million already allocated towards this project. So we're excited to start breaking ground here in the near future on the first phase of this, and that's going to be over in this area here. So this is going to be a truly keynote and unique opportunity for anyone of all abilities and ages to take advantage of this park, and we're really excited to have this in the community. On the other end of town, we have Gateway Park. That's where the museum currently sits. There are several acres worth of land on either side of the museum that we're looking to renovate and turn into amazing parklands. First and foremost is phase one here. That's going to have a farmers market pavilion, which we've already received several $100,000 of grants on as well. We have a $300,000 grant from the ONRT Gold King mine spill and another $500,000 from the State Tourism Department. We're also working on building an amphitheater down here, as well as a food truck park for food trucks to come and park during some of the events that are hosted at the pavilion that's being built right there. And there's a rendering of it right there. The other side will host a myriad of different amenities. The one I'm most excited about is that we're going to carve out a chunk for commercial development. And so this is going to be for public-private partnership to try and draw in restaurants or stores that are outdoor rec oriented. To be right along the river here, right in front of the whitewater adjustable wave feature we're going to build right here, so that you can sit on the patio drinking your margarita and watching people biff it into the river while they're trying to surf. So, I mean, it's a full service experience that we're trying to build here for the city. But it really will be a beautiful spot. We don't have enough use of our riverfront, and this is going to be kind of our first foray into making that possible. North of town, we have the Juniper Basin Bike Park. This is a 93-acre park that we're going to be building out with various different levels and skill levels of amenities. But first, we're going to start with phase one that's going to have a lot more child-focused amenities. You've got a tot track, a skills course for kids to be able to go through, various different tubes and ramps and such, and a couple lower skilled 1 mile trails. So we're really excited about building that out again. We've received some grants from the State Trails Plus, and we're waiting on Land, Water, and Conservation Fund grant for $750,000. We mentioned the river, and it is such a huge amenity for us. We keep building out our trail system, and we've got another 2.5 miles that we're going to be building here on the north side of the trail system, and that's going to bring our total length of the river trails up to, I believe, close to 10 miles. There's already 9.5 trail miles that kind of wind around the river as we speak, but we're expanding that out. We're also working on our Brookside Skate Park. We just received a $500,000 grant from Trails Plus on this as well to renovate and make this another regional draw for the community. This season, finally at last, we are going to have our, not Whibbit Park, our inflatable recreation park on the lake. So we're really excited to have that back. That's not the exact thing. That looks like it's in Florida. We're not going to be quite that bougie with it, but it's going to look something like that. We're excited to have that in our lake. And there's kind of a picture of what the adjustable wave feature may look like and all the surfers lining up to do it, so we're really excited about that. Rob already mentioned Pinion Hills and the lake. Westland Park extension, again, this is the other side of the extension of the trail system. We're just in the beginning process of this, but extending it to the west from the current terminus down here along Bistai Highway and coming up to Westland Park. This is a fun kind of future project that we have, 750 acres that we kind of forgot we had a while back. We bought it to build a dump back in the 80s, I believe, and we're going to work on building that out to be a keynote recreation area, whether it's mountain biking or hiking, and OHVs, we're still deciding on all the details. We also have another park area out at Anisi Park along the riverfront again. We're looking to find ways to activate that. And our museum just launched a new project that is going to be a permanent exhibit about the Bistai Badlands, because it's such a huge draw for the entire region and for Farmington. We felt the need to really draw people in on the front end of this process and introduce them to that, especially for those that can't necessarily get out there and hike out in that wide open wilderness, because there really isn't any trails to be followed. You're just out there. So this will be a huge opportunity for folks and Worley Field. So with that, if there's any questions, I'll be here, but thank you so much for your time, and I'm going to pass the torch on to the county. Thank you.
Thanks, Warren and Rob, appreciate that. And next up is the county, and again, if you need to leave, we'll probably have a Q&A after, but if you need to leave in the meantime, go ahead and go for it, but don't hurt Mike's feelings.
Oh, you won't hurt my feelings. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for hanging around. Pleasure to give the aforesaid membership group an update, whether you're dues paying or not. We're going to give you an update on county economic development efforts the last year and going forward.
What guides us is our 5-year strategic plan. This was a 6-month ground-up effort which culminated with a number of citizen input meetings and ultimately approval by the County Commission in September of 2021. You'll notice some of these initiatives we're directly taking the lead on. Others we're supporting and collaborating with our city partners as well as other community stakeholders. What I thought was really encouraging when this list was put together and you compare it to other plans that have been developed by the cities or FORSED, a lot of similarities. So we're all working together, rolling the ball in the same direction, and I think that's really important. You'll see the similarities in some of the projects too. 8 of the 20 initiatives are economic development related. And for those of you that like less bureaucracy, this is a 1-page strategic plan. It's really good. It makes it easy for people to understand what we're doing and where we're heading, whether you're new to the community or just wanting to gain more information about what your county government's doing. Top economic initiatives you'll see, stronger film industry presence, taking advantage of the state incentives, and we're happy to announce the back lot is completed at the industrial park, and we're actively marketing that right now to the film industry, utilizing Don Gray, who's a former locations director with New Mexico Film Office, recruiting manufacturing operations to the county, utilizing existing skilled workforce, developing the outdoor rec economy, which I think has been a consistent theme across the board here, enhancing local agriculture production. And last but not least, and a project I'm going to spend a little time on, is bringing a freight rail spur from the I-40 corridor to San Juan County to benefit the county, the Navajo Nation, the Four Corners. Now, all of these projects are important for our future long-term success here. That's our economic challenge, and this is the freight rail network. If some of you have seen this presentation before, but that's unfortunately a gap that needs to be solved. And we're one of the largest MSAs, 370 plus MSAs in the nation, without a freight rail line. 40% of our nation's goods are shipped by rail. So we've been missing out on some of that economic activity. That limits our export and import opportunities here in San Juan County for new businesses that we may be looking to recruit, or existing businesses that are paying a substantially higher freight cost. You can ship via freight rail for 1/3 of the cost, and it's far more fuel efficient as well. This freight rail project would the goal is to bring it down and connect to the I-40 corridor. That's hitting the transcontinental rail line that runs from LA to Chicago, operated by BNSF, and that provides access now to international markets and a whole lot of other markets for companies in this area. It also will help us with a checkbox we're currently missing today with site selectors. When they come in and look to see what infrastructure amenities you have in your community, we're missing every time the freight rail checkbox, and that hurts because those are legitimate opportunities that we're missing out on. And as I mentioned, it leads to higher costs for our local businesses. So we've been engaged through a grant we received from the U.S. Department of Transportation, a $2 million build grant, and studying, putting together a feasibility study with the help of HDR Engineering. They're not just a national rail engineering firm, but an international firm. So we've got a great company leading the charge. And the consulting team interviewed a number of businesses. In fact, I see a lot of faces in this room that were interviewed by our consultant to determine what their interests might be in a freight rail line and what the anticipated volumes that they would anticipate sending to a rail line if there was one available. By no means is this comprehensive in terms of the commodities that could be imported or exported, but what is important is that we have traffic going both ways. This would be probably deemed infeasible if we can't demonstrate that there's just as much export traffic as there is import traffic, or vice versa. So if you've attended one of our public input meetings, we've had 4 to date, and the last 2 that we had, we unveiled the prospective routes. And so these are it. They're available. All this information is available on the project website, which is the number 4cornersfreightrail.com. So you can find, all the latest and greatest information that we've put together to date. But these recommended route alignments that are highlighted, there's essentially 5 with an interconnect line between the eastern and western routes, are currently being assessed for topographic and land status considerations, because those are going to be really potentially either a strength or a weakness depending upon which route is selected. For a rail line, I didn't know this because didn't have any previous background in railroading, but you've got to maintain a 2% grade or less to make a rail line feasible. Now, can you overcome mountains and valleys? Absolutely. You can build tunnels, you can build bridges, but that drives up the cost of the project. So the goal is to try to find a route that is relatively as flat as possible. And if you can find a route where there has already been existing right-of-way clearances that have been done for archaeological, environmental, whether there's a road or a pipeline or a transmission line, those are areas that we're really focused in on. The transloading facility ultimately is another area that's being evaluated, and where's the best location for transloading facility? And right now that's been determined to be right here, which is just north of the NAPI headquarters. There's a relatively flat area with a lot of land, would be accessible to a lot of businesses, specifically NAPI, Navajo Mine, Raytheon, and accessible to areas down in the valley, or companies down in the valley. So that appears to be the best route, or the best transloading site. We did explore what would it take to bring the rail line over the bluffs and across the river. And it would essentially double the price. And so that's why that appears to be the desired location as of right now. Approximately $3 to $5 million per mile to build out the rail line, so it's about a 100-mile track, depending upon which route selected. So you're looking at about a $500 million project as we speak today. This just runs through some of the tasks that are needed to move forward. We're anticipating the study will be done in 3 months. That's dependent upon, we have to work with this grant with the Federal Railroad Administration, so a lot of coordination that needs to happen with them. There will be some public meetings to follow. Really do want to say thank you to our legislative delegation, including Representative Duncan. I had the opportunity, because they set it up, to appear in front of 3 interim committees this year to present the freight rail project to state legislators from across the state. And ultimately, that was very helpful in getting support this year for House Joint Memorial 1, which passed the House. Representative Montoya helped introduce that memorial, urging the New Mexico federal delegation to support legislation to fund construction of the freight rail line. And we're also, I know Senator Scher has been involved with NMDOT and the Navajo Nation on funding what would be the next step of the project if this is deemed feasible, which is a NEPA study to evaluate all the archaeological or cultural and environmental needs. And last but not least, we had a county delegation 2 weeks ago in D.C. for the National Association of Counties. We trailed right behind you. And great meeting with Senator Heinrich. We were able to get an hour and a half of his time, and very supportive of the freight rail project. So I really do think that all the pieces to the puzzle are coming together, both with legislative support at the state level and the federal delegation. If we see this project come through the feasibility study as a thumbs up, I think we're going to be able to move next steps going forward. And this is a large industrial and economic development opportunity for our area. So it's fair to say one of our #1 priorities at the county. Clean energy projects. Let's talk a little bit about that. We've got a few of those. Just briefly highlight, I think you all know that we've got one project in construction to the east of San Juan Generating Station. That's the Desiree project. Another that's being proposed to the west. In total, we've had 6 large-scale energy projects proposed to the County Commission with presentations in the last year and a half. And what are they all looking at? They're looking at what I would consider the bird's nest on the ground, and it sort of looks like a bird's nest with all the lines, which is permitted available transmission that's connected to the western U.S. energy grid. So you're seeing a lot of interest in our area because in a lot of other parts of the country, SunZia, that project's been 10 plus years in the making and they still don't have pipe in there or poles in the ground. So that's why you're seeing great interest here. And those are projects, as mentioned, from solar, pump storage, hydro, and then a wind project that's being proposed out in Union County. And the best place for that project to tie into is to run across 6 counties in New Mexico and to tie in at San Juan Generating Station. So this is why this is such a key hub for a lot of potential activity. Now you can see these projects are great, and we support them, arms wide open. The D.E. Shaw project, 300 megawatt project, $500 million industrial revenue bond that our county commission issued related to that project. But the heartburn with it is it's not going to replace the loss of jobs that we saw at San Juan Generating Station. NG Solar, 360 megawatts, $1 billion IRB that they're looking at. So that's significant investment. But there again, you're looking at 10 permanent jobs. Hydrogen, absolutely. I think it's going to have a future here in San Juan County. Libertad Power is a group that we've been engaged with, the town of Kirtland, San Juan College, since 2019. They're actively developing their project. They're needing a few key funding pieces to fall in place. They're applying for a Department of Energy grant as we speak, in addition to awaiting the final outcome on the Energy Transition Act funding that's going to be made available soon. And I think that would be a huge lift to their project as well as the others. Senator Heinrich did mention to us 2 weeks ago that he's very supportive of the hydrogen projects here and would like to see a second round of WISH funding be put forth by the Department of Energy. It was very disappointing that the 4-state coalition didn't make the cut the first time, since he was one of the signatories on initially setting up the hydrogen hub funding. So needless to say, he was shocked that didn't work out for our area. But these projects are viable, and a lot of great work, as mentioned previously, here locally to help support the development of these hydrogen projects would lead to more economic-based jobs than we see with solar projects. No question about that. All right, just an update on, as we're all working on outdoor recreation projects, we know how important that is to improve the quality of life for those that live here, but also those looking to invest and move to our community. You have to have these amenities, and they're pretty easy for us to take advantage of given the amount of public lands that we have. So boat ramp project, Cedar Hill, we recently cut the ribbon on that. It's the 10th boat ramp on the Animas and San Juan River network here, if you didn't know that. It's just adjacent to the Highway 550 bridge. We have more boat ramp projects coming. We received a grant from the Office of Natural Resources trustee for improvements to the McGee Park location, as well as Lions Park, which is the most western boat ramp here in the county. So I know Desert River Guides is very excited about these new amenities that will be coming to these boat ramp projects. Trail building, we've been working really actively on that. The Kirtland Walk Path Trail, if you haven't utilized that, you should. It's outstanding in terms of its connectivity it's provided to the community and the usage that it's receiving on a very consistent basis. Cedar Hill, a historic bridge that is within a month of a ribbon cutting here. It's taken a little bit for us to get there. Had to wait for low river conditions so that our contractor could get in the river and do some work, but that will be happening here soon, and that will create a 2-mile loop with the boat ramp. So you'll be able to go up to Cedar Hill and walk a little 2-mile loop across the historic Cedar Hill Bridge. 25 miles of mountain bike trails that we've been able to work collectively with the BLM on. We're $2 million in investment that we've received in state grant funding to facilitate those projects. And just last week, the County Commission approved an application for 12 more miles of trails Alien Run in Mountain View over by Aztec, looking to connect those two trail systems, and then actually add a new 3-mile loop over by Angel Peak. So that will be a new amenity for our area. All of those projects are, as mentioned, on BLM land. So outdoor recreation master plan, we were the recipient of a grant to study and identify all the outdoor rec assets, which I think are quite voluminous. Look for opportunities for new ones, find out ways to add connectivity and amenities, and it's going to allow us to apply for future grants once we have a consolidated plan. So it'll make us more marketable in that category, and Mr. Saavedra here is leading the charge on that effort. And some public meetings soon that will be available to folks. And last but not least, agriculture. The Extension Office, we received a grant, part of the Office of Natural Resources trustee, Gold King Mine Settlement, to expand, move the Extension Office from where they're currently located on the county campus to a brand new facility just south of the Public Defender's Office in Aztec, if you're familiar with where that's at, just south of the administration building in Aztec, on the 11-acre Growing Forward Farm, which is the collaborative effort between us and New Mexico State. It's the new farmer training and educational facility, and so this new building will be located right on the campus. In fact, the Aztec Farmers Market will move over once this facility is built. That will be the new home for the Aztec Farmers Market. And why is that important? Why is ag important? It's really a redevelopment that we're seeing, and it's a good one. Believe it or not, there's 2,965 registered farms in San Juan County. Did you know that? Now, most of those are 9 acres or less, so they're very small farms. 4,702 agricultural producers, including 3,106 Native American producers here in San Juan County. So this will be a great resource to them to be able to build their business and to be able to sell their goods in the community. And great work that's already happened with the city of Farmington and San Juan College on the food hub. Great resource for our community commercial kitchen that's going in soon. This facility will have one as well, and so it'll be a great addition to the agricultural community here in San Juan County, and quite frankly, take advantage of the 63% of state surface water that flows through our area. That's why you see, or you've seen, 2 coal-fired power plants and all the agricultural production here is because we have the water, which is rare in the West. So we do have that available to us as a resource and something we need to continue to invest in for the betterment of our community and our future economy here. So thanks for the time. Appreciate you sticking around.
Thank you, Mike. Very good. Again, if you need to leave, fine. We do have time for some Q&A if you have some questions, but I guess a comment I would make, as you drive down East Main or you're driving to Bloomfield, you can tell there's a lot going on behind the scenes in our county, and it takes people like this and many of you out there to find grant money and to put these plans into place, and they're long term. I mean, it's a lot of the things we're talking about, like Mike said, we won't be here to enjoy them. We'll be long gone. But anyway, a lot of work going on. I sure appreciate everything that you guys do, and Forced likes to be right in the middle of all that. So I'll pause if you have questions for any of our panelists. And before I leave, thank you for coming so much, and hope you enjoyed it. But let's open it up. Go ahead.
Yes, I've lived in this area since 1968, and I've been in Kirtland for almost over 40 years. And I'm Councilman I'm a little bit concerned about the illegal dumping, as George was talking about. I'm a little bit concerned about the illegal dumping that's going on, especially from Highway 64 north to Twin Peaks to the Safety City and on out. I mean, it is getting horrendous. I used to walk, run, bicycle. You can see it left and right. I was just wondering what we can do to develop how to stop it. You know, they have cameras, by Safety City. We could put them on both of those roads going out, and that would help. but between Highway 64 and Twin Peaks, it is massive. And that's also up there towards Bloomfield. I'm a geocacher, so I see it all.
Mike? Yeah. We speak from here? Sure.
Greg? Ooh. How's that? Better? Okay, there we go. Well,
Maybe come up here.
okay, come up.
Great question, and I can tell you, and I'll actually go back on my slide. So one of our key initiatives is Make Us Shine. It was actually located purposely in the 2022, is a 2022 initiative. It's something the county's been involved with going back many years to 2006, and I happen to have that knowledge and history because I've been with the county since 2006, when then Commissioner Dr. Henderson. We moved forward on a voluntary cleanup program that still exists today, and that's a way by which we can work on with private owners if they voluntarily allow us and they financially qualify and meet the required thresholds to allow the county to go in and clean up blighted properties. We've had over 1,000 properties to date that have been cleaned up by that program. Now that's just on private land. So on public lands, if you don't have it on your phone, you need to download it now. The Cleanup San Juan app is on your phone. So when you're out on public lands, which I think was the comment, you can do this anonymously, or if you want to provide your name and information, you can. You can take a picture of the trash, see it, snap it, send it. And we've got a little flyer on our website that you can share with folks. Great way when you're out in the hills and you biking and you come across the dump site, take a picture, it gets sent to our GIS department, which then is actually mapped on a dashboard that's available to you today. So you can actually see when you click your dump site, it shows up on our dashboard. And then of course it gets put in with the list of other cleanup projects. And we've got a crew dedicated to the county to going out on the public lands to clean up those dump sites. Now, is it a large volume of cleanup sites? It absolutely is. We hope we're making some great strides in cleaning those up. I know a lot of collaborative efforts here. Highway cleanup, state highway cleanup, we did one of those. We try to do 2 a year in collaboration with NMDOT, with all of the municipalities up here participating in that. Last year we did the stretch from Bloomfield to Aztec on Highway 550. We also did the stretch from Aztec to Farmington on 516. We also captured Highway 64. And so those are really important because those are gateway entrances to our community and your first impression oftentimes. We also have other cleanup events that we participate in from over time through the course of the year, working with some of our nonprofit groups where we provide dumpsters to those efforts. So anything we can do to make San Juan County shine, to make that good first impression is absolutely top of mind for us. And you need that if you're trying to sell our county, as Tim will be doing here soon, to the outside world. We want to make that first great impression and not see trash and blight that unfortunately we have some folks that I don't know, other than to say they just don't appreciate and have pride in their area by destroying it with trash and junk.
How too much invasion of people's personal privacy? Is it possible to do a prevention? You've got the facility at the police. You mean it's right there. You can put up a camera and you can actually see them bringing it out to the place. You don't have to make the camera obvious. But if we can't catch the main entrances, you got your people.
Sure.
That are illegally doing this.
And we have on problem areas have put up signage that this area has been cleaned up by San Juan County, and then have installed game cameras to make certain that, if we do see that type of activity again, we'll have the opportunity to capture it. The difficulty, and I won't get into the prosecution of it, but that could be problematic sometimes if you're not witnessing that activity in person. But yes, that has been utilized as a strategy in the past. Is it countywide? By no means. It's usually problem areas that we're focused on with the game cameras.
So you'd like us to bring to your attention where the problem areas is out and about?
Certainly, yeah. If you'd like to bring those forth, we'd be happy to take a look at them.
Okay, other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Marie-Burr. I'm the Upper Fruitland Chapter Vice President, and I live in Upper Fruitland, but I live in Farmington, and just very proud to serve this community. I had a question. I see that you're here, for the economic development, and you guys are doing a great job. You guys have your plans in place, and getting the financial means to get all of this done is an epic job, and you guys are doing a great job. I appreciate it. I just had a question on, you were talking about what we see when we come into town, the first impressions. And I think one thing that really bothers me is I don't see any kind of plans for any type of alcoholic rehabilitation. That's a big problem when you go into downtown Farmington. I know everybody's seen it. And I don't hear of anybody trying to do like a treatment center or to resolve the problem. I know they put cameras up because they have a lot of crimes happening and things like that. And then I know they amped up the police presence there, which is nice because for a minute there you couldn't even use the Bird Park walkway. And so that was just one thing.
Thank you, that's a great question.
Yeah, if you guys have any kind of plan for that.
Well,
And it's a big problem, so I don't,
Yeah.
I understand that you don't have a direct answer.
well, I'd like to get with you afterwards and give you a tour of our facilities and what we are doing. But Farmington, San Juan County, and Sound Regional Medical Center have led the way in our state for 30 years on services to try to deal with what the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission has coined this term, street inebriates. It's not necessarily a homeless problem. It's a specific issue related to being a border community, that alcohol is available here, not on the alcohol. We have what has been honestly acknowledged by our governor and our lieutenant governor as the premier model programs for our entire state and even nation. We have an alternative response unit that goes out with compassionate care and picks up these folks, transports them to either our 24-hour shelter or our sobering center, and then they're invited into treatment with Total Behavioral Health and what's called our Joint Intervention Program. We have the only alternative sentencing unit for DUIs. I assure you, we spend between us $3 to $5 million a year on this, trying to reclaim these lives as well as protect the quality of life and the sensibilities of the citizens of Farmington and the county that are impacted by this. So I really would like to get with you because given your position, you really ought to see the things we're doing. You'll be blown away by what we're doing.
And I'm just really interested because I was working with a nonprofit earlier this year, and we've really tried to engage community leaders so that that there would be a plan, not just for rehabilitation, but for I guess reinventing their lives and starting over and having a place to stay while they do it.
Yeah, we need to get you in the fold. We have Julie. How many different private groups are we involved in collaborating with in this effort through JAP? So we have 20 different community groups and nonprofits working with us in this effort. So, in fact, why don't you put your hand up, Julie, and see, I told you if you ask anything hard, Julie's the one.
Steve Gray. Yes, sir.
Mike, which route on the rail is looking the top? What are the top two routes that are looking good?
Good question. Let me pull the map up. It appears to be what I call the Fort Defiance route here on the far west. The route into Gallup, there's a little too much congestion there. Through, that was actually in a study previously done, was the selected route, but when I mentioned the topographic challenges, that has quite a few topographic challenges on the first stretch of that route getting to Crown Point. And so that's being evaluated. I would say it's probably 1 and 2 And then this route that would come down 550, that doesn't appear to be as appealing. So I would say it's really, like I said, here and here. Good question.
Good. I'm sorry. Bless you, John. All right. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Claudia Sanchez. I've been here since '79. I do property management and advisory work. And what Mr. Alex is saying is correct. There's a lot in the community, especially in San Juan County area where people do stuff. My husband was employed with San Juan County for over 10, 12 years, and he would literally go out. He was a supervisor, would go out and clean up an area. The very next day, he'd go out and do the same thing in the exact same place, somebody else, over and over and over again. And it was very frustrating for him because he's lived here since '77, same thing. Why are they throwing the trash? And I asked him one day, why are they doing this? He says, well, I know for me when I have somebody that has to do for my properties or things that I manage and stuff, I send them out to the dump to throw away stuff. The dump, you spend a good half an hour to an hour to get up there. Then you have to pay for it. Then you have to spend another half an hour to get out of there. People are like, why? Why would I want to pay for that? All right, I'm just going to dump it and leave it and let somebody else deal with it. And he's right. You've got to market it better and say, look, this is our community. This is our home. Put things flyers up. Do things to make the community better. Because, yeah, it's ugly when we're taking our kids biking or riding or doing different things and you see all this trash everywhere. And it's frustrating for people.
Very good. Go ahead, George. Go first.
You're correct. It's really a challenge. And what we've done, we go out and we'll clean these areas up and come back maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, not just going out there specifically to see that. I spend a lot of time outside hiking and biking and stuff. And I'll see it and I'll call our crews to get out there that very day or the next day and pick it up. So if you continue to keep it out of there, maybe, just maybe, that will dissuade people from doing it any longer. And the other thing we've done in Bloomfield, we've got 2 roll-offs at our parks building. And I'm not sure how many yards they are. Kimberly, how large are they? You don't know? Well, good. They're big. They're big. And we allow people to take trash down there, put them on the roll-offs, free of charge. We don't charge them. It's right downtown Bloomfield. And we spend a lot of cash doing this. What is it, about $4,000 a month for these 2 roll-offs? But I think it's making a difference.
A lot of options for disposing of trash if you're in the county. The landfill is one option, but we have 12 convenience stations scattered throughout the county, 5,500 square miles. We have the biggest network of any county in the state. Only Taos County comes close. The average number of transfer stations by most counties in the state is 5. And so we've really got a great network. $1 a bag, $5 for half a truckload, $9 for a full level bed, 3 cubic yards. Of course, if you live in the cities, they have franchise agreements, Farmington and Aztec with Waste Management, Bloomfield with GF.
I don't know what they are today.
What's their name? Republic. And so that's an option. If you live in the county, you can receive, we don't have a franchise agreement, so you have the ability to go out and find the best service for you, if that's Waste Management, Republic. I know there's a new hauler on West Hammond that's providing service to county residents. So a lot of great ways to do that, and there's got to be a little personal responsibility. It is a shame that we have all of this, or have some illegal dumping, and it seems to be regionalized in some areas. I know Twin Peaks, we definitely see some enhanced activity up there, but it's going to take all of us to spread the message that dumping illegally out on the public lands is not acceptable. There's a $1,000 fine if we can catch you in the act. That sometimes, as I mentioned, is challenging. We've got 3 billboards up in the county that we're utilizing for messaging. Sometimes it's positive about how you can keep your lands clean. Sometimes it's negative to let you know that there's a $1,000 fine. But those are running on a very consistent basis to market to our citizens that, yes, this is important if we're going to see our region develop economically, and more importantly, have a nice place that we call home.
Okay. And our chair, Jeremiah Hayes, is going to take us home.
Oh, all right. So, all right, final thing. So, to that point, when we did our business retention and expansion effort back in 2020 and 2021, this was one of the most often cited things from regional businesses saying, we want to beautify our corridors, we want to take care of the trash. When we bring in high-level talent from out of town and try to recruit them to the area for the hospital, we try to do it at night. Because we don't want them to go through the corridors. So we're trying to respond to that. One of the things Forset is doing, in addition to all this other stuff, is why don't you throw trash out your window when you're driving down the street? Why don't you have it in the back of your truck? People in this room. And I know for me personally, it's because from second grade all the way through high school, I remember the Toss No Moss commercials. I remember that ethic that was built into my educational programming, so I am mentally programmed to not have that. And so one of the things we're trying to do is get back in the schools and figure out what kind of initiatives are going on so we can start just building that ethic as part of our basic educational strategy here in the Four Corners. That's something that we're leading the charge with Nancy Shepard back there, and it's really in its infancy stage, but it's something that we are working on. So.
Great segue. If I could add one last comment. We received a grant this year with Nancy's help. She helped to inspire this RAID grant from the state of New Mexico to develop coloring books that will go into all of the schools. I believe we've determined third grade or fourth grade. I can't remember which. Third. Okay. To help encourage that positive messaging from the start. And that's going to happen this year. So thanks for the reminder.
All right. Let's give our panelists a hand. Thank you. Hope this was as meaningful to everybody as we hoped it would be. And once again, welcome Tim Gibbs. You'll be seeing a lot of Tim in our community. Thank you, everyone.